With it being Halloween and spooky season, we wanted to bring you a list of the most scary, chilling, skin-crawling and mind-blowing games. And no, I'm not talking about Star Wars Outlaws deleting your save file after an update. Scary. I'm Midas and this is a list of some of the best horror games on PC. We're only using one game per franchise, but I might give a shout out to another game that I enjoy. We start our scary adventure with one of the most popular horror franchises going, and spoiler alert, it's the one that's been remade on everything but a smartwatch. Okay, look, Resident Evil 4 has never been the scariest entry in its series, but it is essential. Between its attaché case inventory management and fanatic crowd control, it's an extremely tense experience while also offering some truly standout horror set pieces in the middle and the later portions. The remake's take on a Gerador enemy especially is inspired. Act 2's castle remains one of the most atmospheric locations in gaming. Its sumptuous, decaying 17th century interiors give a new life on the RE engine. Other entries on the list may be spookier, but there's a reason the genre hasn't been able to get over Resident Evil 4 in 18 years.
The entire world shall overflow with his grace.
What's happening to me?
Although Resident Evil 2 is my favourite in the series, and I love Resident Evil Village's first-person horror experience, which honestly scares the life out of me, Resident Evil 4 is easily one of the most popular and influential 3D action adventures. The first Alan Wake was more spooky than scary, but its long-awaited sequel is generally frightening. Half survival horror, half spiral into surreal nightmare, Remedy's latest is a bold, ambitious storytelling experiment that's also full of tense and thrilling battles against the shadow-possessed Taken. Playing as both FBI agent Saga Anderson, investigating a series of ritual murders, and Alan Wake, a writer desperately trying to escape an ever-looping dream dimension, you dwell through an adventure where a dark fiction is twisted reality in knots, bold, brilliant, and bizarre. And with Alan Wake 2's Lake House expansion revealed at the October Xbox partner preview and promising to bring a darker tone to Alan Wake, I'll be playing this one with the lights on. Horror doesn't have to take place in spooky mansions, creepy back streets, or forests. Space can be just as terrifying as seen in our next entry. Dead Space was once the bold herald of survival horror future. The 2008 original showing that actioned over-the-shoulder combat doesn't preclude old-school dread. Despite proclamations of demise, survival horror was alive and well in the Xbox 360 generation. In the new version we gave 84% in our review, we get a perfect As You Remember It remake. Though the protagonist Isaac Clarke is newly talkative, ginger, and arguably yas-filled in Dead Space remake. Modern rendering and conveniences are bolstered here, with new story content and new Game Plus mode featuring an alternative ending. For the first time in 10 years, the future of Dead Space looks bright. Is it still bright if it's horrible on purpose? Our next entry on our list had me hiding under tables with my heart beating so fast I had to turn down the game volume. The best Alien game ever by a long way. Alien Isolation starts with the smartest, scariest enemy in any game. The Xenomorph's killer instinct is unmatched and only by its curiosity. It learns more about the space station's Sevastopol nooks and crannies as it hunts you over the course of 12 hours, ripping doors of closets and peering under tables in a search of its prey, which is you. The motion tracker can help avoid the Xenomorph's grasp, but the alien can hear the sound and even see the gentle green light of its screen, making every glance at the device a risk. That's pretty scary, but when you're forced into vents and you can hear the creature in there with you, that's when Alien Isolation becomes one of the scariest games ever made. A personal choice of mine that isn't on our official list is a smoky tale of fogged up streets, random dialogue, and wonderful intensity. Having to remake the revered Silent Hill 2 is no easy task. The original game has been both praised and picked apart by fans who want to explore every detail that the game has to offer. The modern remake of that legendary tale gets off to a great start, offering an extensive range of graphical settings and accessibility options. It doesn't take long to tweak the game into a smoothly running, ray-traced beauty, or to adjust the controls and the behaviour so it's just the way you like them. Silent Hill 2 remake looks impressively familiar, even decades removed from its original PlayStation 2 debut. The rust-covered hellscapes, the glistening sacks of flesh scuttling past locked-up homes tumbling into the abyss. It's easy to believe Silent Hill 2 always looked this good, but the illusion takes a lot of hard work. The remake treatment of this series' signature fog is just remarkable. It seems to roll over the scenery, pull in dirty corners and settle on the ground. It's a choking physical presence that can move and change instantaneously, something protagonist James Sunderland has to force himself through, rather than a simple cloudy overlay trying to obscure my view. We gave Silent Hill 2 Remake 78%. The original title allowed us to take more time to imagine something awful lurking just out of sight in the fog, while the remake sent monsters upon monsters that detracted from the mental scare, although I'm still enjoying my time with this third-person horror adventure. Signalis came out of nowhere to be one of the standout games of 2022, an incredibly rich survival horror experience that demands your attention and contemplation. Signalis' closest mechanical cousin is classic Resident Evil. It's a fixed camera horror at its best, demanding that you manage your limited inventory, space and resources carefully as you crisscross back and forth through a highly dangerous, godforsaken pit of a research facility. Narratively, Signalis is sublime, casting you as a Blade Runner style replicated human searching for their full human commanding officer and secret lover. The tension between the protagonist Elster's desires, needs and essential nature as a constructed, enslaved being leave a haunted impression. And we all know no fragile mind survives the first contact with Lovecrafted horrors. It all takes place in a crunchy analog future straight out of the 1970s under the auspice of, wouldn't you know it, evil despotic government playing with forces it didn't comprehend. Phasmophobia, The Evil Within, Five Nights at Freddy. There are so many horror PC games that scare me witless. Whew. And now I'm gonna head over to Stardew Valley, spend my time farming and have a cozy time. Did we miss your favorite horror game? Let us know in the comments below the scary games you love, and to see our full list, head over to our site, pcgamer.com.